Coming up today, the Prime Minister and several high-profile members of the Cabinet are at the National Assembly to field lawmakers' questions on issues related to domestic politics and public safety. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un supervises a rocket engine test as speculation mounts Pyongyang is prepping for a long-range missile launch. This comes as the US and China vow to step up efforts to denuclearize the North. Plus, a 28-year-old man hunted in relation to terror attacks in the US has been charged with 5 counts of attempted murder. Ahmad Khan Rahami was wanted in connection with bombings in New York and New Jersey. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 20th of September. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Mark Broom. Let's start at the National Assembly. Lawmakers have the next 4 days to quiz government officials as Parliament begins a 4-day interpellation session that will run through this Friday. The first day focuses on domestic and political issues. For more, we connect live with our parliamentary correspondent Shin Dong-bin. So, Semin, a whole slew of issues are expected to come up, but can you start by telling us which government officials are in the hot seat today?
Yes, Mark, some high-profile government officials, including Prime Minister Park Geunhye, as well as the Ministers of Justice, Public Safety and the Interior, are fielding questions from around a dozen lawmakers from Korea's major 3 political parties. Now, the lawmakers are expected to focus on the effectiveness of the government's crisis management capabilities, given the increased nuclear and missile threats posed by North Korea and the recent earthquake that jolted the southeast of the country. Opposition lawmakers are also expected to press the government to dismiss senior presidential aide Woo Byung-woo, who's under fire for alleged influence peddling. Mark?
And Semin, today, as you mentioned, is the first day of the 4-day session. What about the rest of the week? Can you tell us about the sessions to come?
Sure. Wednesday's session will focus on national security and foreign affairs. The economy will be the main topic on Thursday, and educational and social issues will top the agenda on the last day, which is Friday. In general, the interpellation session is an opportunity for political parties to question the current administration's competence in handling national affairs. So we'll be able to see and will likely get some clues to the views of the 3 main parties on a range of issues throughout the week. Mark, back to you.
Thank you, Semin, and do keep us updated throughout the day and throughout the rest of the week as well. Now, President Park Geunhye will gather her cabinet ministers together at the presidential office this weekend for a workshop to share her policy drives and unite public sentiment. Saturday's meeting will be the first of its type in 3.5 years since President Park's first cabinet got together shortly after her inauguration. Given the increased threat posed by North Korea and the slowing domestic economy, the President and her ministers will discuss ways to create growth engines and momentum for the administration's policy initiatives. They will also assess the achievements made during her term. North Korea could be close to carrying out yet another provocation, this time a long-range missile launch. The regime's state-run media says Kim Jong-un has personally overseen the successful test of a new rocket engine. Our Connie Kim with the details.
As if North Korea's recent nuclear test was not bold enough, the regime now claims to have carried out a successful ground test of a new rocket engine. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency said Tuesday that leader Kim Jong-un guided the test of a rocket engine for a new geostationary satellite at the Seohae Space Center in the west of the country. It's Kim's first military-related activity since he oversaw Pyongyang's 5th nuclear test earlier this month. The young leader has identified space development as one of the regime's most pressing tasks and says the North must develop various types of satellites to become a, quote, possessor of geostationary satellites in a couple of years to come. South Korea's defense ministry says it's analyzing whether the test was a success. Military experts say the engine test is seen as a follow-up measure after North Korea launched a long-range missile in February. The test has sparked speculation the regime is preparing for a long-range ballistic missile launch around the October 10th anniversary of the founding of the North's Workers' Party. The North insists that satellite launches are for peaceful purposes, but they're widely viewed by the international community as cover for ballistic missile tests. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
US President Barack Obama and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang have vowed to strengthen their cooperation in denuclearizing North Korea. Meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York on Monday, the two agreed to invigorate cooperation on North Korea on the UN Security Council and in law enforcement channels. This is according to a White House statement following their talks. It was the first face-to-face meeting between the two leaders since North Korea's fifth nuclear test on September 9th, which Obama and Lee both condemned at their meeting on Monday. Now, a new report accuses Chinese companies of ignoring trade restrictions on North Korea, despite Beijing's claims that it's more committed than ever to implementing international sanctions on its longtime ally. The South Korea-US joint study, which analysed the supply chains that make Pyongyang's weapons development possible, says imposing secondary sanctions on Chinese firms that trade with the North would make existing sanctions more effective. South Korea's Asan Institute for Policy Studies and the Washington-based Center for Advanced Defense Studies specifically finger Hongxiang Group, which is a mid-sized manufacturing firm near the China-North Korea border, as one of the worst offenders. The report suggests the Chinese government apply its commercial law against such companies to stop them trading with the North. Korea's southeastern region was rattled by yet another earthquake last night. The latest tremor came exactly 1 week after the same area was hit by the most powerful quake to hit Korea since records began nearly 4 decades ago. Kim Mok-yeon tells us more.
The earthquake, with a magnitude of 4.5, struck near Korea's southeastern city of Gyeongju at 8:33 p.m. Korea time on Monday. The Korea Meteorological Administration said the quake's epicenter was about 11 kilometers from Gyeongju City, which was struck by 2 powerful earthquakes exactly a week earlier at practically the same time. The agency said the latest quake was an aftershock from last week's 5.8 magnitude earthquake, which was the strongest quake to jolt the country since records began in 1978. Since then, more than 370 aftershocks have been detected, but the latest one is the strongest so far. Fire stations in Daegu and Busan, 2 cities near Gyeongju, received thousands of quake-related reports on Monday evening, while some residents in Seoul also said they felt the tremor. The Ministry of Public Safety and Security said 11 facility damages were reported and more than 14,000 calls were made to report the earthquake. However, there were no reports of injuries. The Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Corporation also says all of the country's nuclear reactors are operating as usual. Kim Mok-yeon, Arirang News.
Lotte Group chairman Shin Dong-bin has appeared at the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office for questioning over alleged corruption. The 61-year-old is suspected of embezzlement and breach of trust. Shin allegedly oversaw the creation of slush funds worth some $26 million and accepted some $8.8 million in unearned pay. Insiders say it's highly likely Shin will be stripped of control over Lotte Holdings if prosecutors decide to press charges against him. Lotte Holdings currently operates as Lotte Group's world headquarters and has offices in Seoul and Tokyo. We'll bring you updates on this expanding Lotte probe as we get them. Samsung Electronics has started providing replacements for its Galaxy Note 7 smartphones in Korea. The company made around 100,000 new Note 7 phones available for exchange on Monday, but only 20,000 units were swapped, or 5% of all 400,000 Note 7 sold in the country. Korea's 3 major mobile carriers say they expect more Note 7 users to exchange their phones in the coming days, as Monday was the first day after the Chuseok Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Samsung announced a massive recall of its large-screen smartphones in 10 countries 2 weeks ago amid reports of its batteries catching fire while charging. It plans to finalize the exchange process in Korea by the end of the week and will start selling the Note 7 again on September 28th. Now, as Samsung strives to overcome its unexpected challenges, LG Electronics is set to roll out its latest smartphone, the V20. The V20 Android phone will hit stores in Korea next Thursday and will be available through Korea's 3 major mobile carriers, SK Telecom, KT and LGU+. LG announced Tuesday it has set the price at just over $800 including tax. The V20 has boosted its multimedia capabilities and is collaborating with B&O Play, known for its high-quality audio and video components. Now, this new phone is thinner and lighter than its predecessor, the V10. There are various sales promotions on the way for consumers who get the phone within the next month. More than half of the world's shipyards have shut down in recent years due to ongoing sluggish demand, according to shipping analytics company Clarksons research. There are 402 shipyards in operation worldwide, down from a record high of 931 back in 2009, which means over 57% of facilities have shut down. Although all 3 Asian shipping powerhouses, Korea, Japan and China, have suffered major losses, China appears to have been hit the hardest, with more than 60% of its shipyards having closed over the same period. Japan has closed 17% of its 71 shipyards. Korea has closed 19 shipyards, a 28% decrease from its record high of 66 in 2007. Clarksons researchers said the market for new ships will remain stagnant in the near future, implying even more closures could be on the horizon. The suspect, believed to have links to the bomb attacks in New York and New Jersey, has been charged with 5 counts of attempted murder. U.S. authorities are investigating whether the bombings were part of an Islamist terror plot. Park Geunhye has the details.
Ahmad Rahami, the man suspected of planting bombs in New York and New Jersey last Saturday, was captured on Monday after a manhunt and gun battle that left him and 2 officers wounded. Just hours after authorities publicly identified Rahami as the prime suspect, a police officer in Linden, New Jersey, responded to a complaint from a bar owner of a man sleeping in the doorway. When the officer arrived, the Afghan-born American shot the officer and fled. The officer shot back, police gave chase, and they later wounded Rahami in the arm and leg. The Union County Prosecutor's Office has charged Rahami with 5 counts of attempted murder for the shootout and 2 second-degree weapons charges. Investigators said they have yet to determine a motive for the bombings. U.S. authorities are investigating whether the bomb attacks were part of an Islamist terror plot after learning the suspect had traveled to Afghanistan and Pakistan for extended periods in the last 5 years. The New York City mayor said the bombing that injured 29 people in Manhattan's Chelsea district was an act of terror.
Based on the information we have now, we have every reason to believe this was an act of terror. We will be going into some detail, and there is still a long investigation ahead, but now we have, as I said, every reason to believe this was an act of terror.
President Barack Obama says there is no connection so far between the New York bombings and a stabbing attack that occurred in Minnesota on Saturday. Park Geunhye, Arirang News.
Typhoon Malakas has made landfall in Japan, battering the coastline there with strong winds, heavy rain and high waves. Japan's weather agency says the typhoon landed near the Osumi Peninsula around 12 hours ago, midnight local time. Maximum estimated sustained winds were about 185 kilometers an hour near the time of landfall. Warnings for this damaging wind potential, heavy rain and flooding potential have been issued. Up to 300 millimeters of rain is expected to lash parts of Japan as the typhoon moves across the country, which may result in flooding and landslides. Dozens of flights have been cancelled and around 7,000 homes have suffered power blackouts. Well, that's pretty much all we have for now on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul. We will have more news for you coming up at 3 p.m. Korea time in a little under 3 hours from now. So until then, goodbye.